Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cerebral Selects. I'm Tristan Vanek, your co-host for the week, along with Joey Krafchick. We're going to be talking about what went right and what went wrong. How's it going, Joey?
Pretty good. It was a fun week of football, as always, and we had a lot to learn, a lot to talk about.
So, jumping right into your wins for the week, we start in the London game, Jacksonville versus the Falcons. How'd that game turn out?
So the Jaguars were favored by 3 points in London against the Falcons. Yeah, so I had seen the Jaguars' rush defense was pretty tough this year, and the Falcons have to rush the ball in order to win games. The Jaguars were able to slow down their rush attack, and by the time the Falcons got in a groove in the second half, when they were getting big chunks of yards, by then they were already buried because Ritter had thrown several picks, one for a touchdown. So Jaguars controlled the whole game the whole time. They succeeded enough at stopping the run, and things panned out as I figured they might.
Moving on to Vikings at Panthers, we had Minnesota -4. That panned out in the end, but at the beginning was looking a little bit shaky, huh?
Yeah, anytime you have a team and they're on the goal line and they throw a 100-yard pick six, you just have to laugh because, there's not that many 100-yard pick sixes each year. Thankfully, the Vikings, they didn't trail for that long. They never lost control, and they were able to play some good defense. I know it's easy to have their defense look good against a team like Carolina, but it was just a very weird game. They also had a defensive touchdown of their own, so they only scored 14. I don't think it means anything about their passing game not being as good as we thought, but why did Cousins go from having 350 yards a game to having 150? I don't really know, but what I did know is they're playing the Panthers, who also can't score anything, so it's easy to cover for when they only score 13.
And we'll take the win. Moving on to some over-unders. You had Broncos-Bears with the over. Two worst defenses in the league. Easy pick to take the over.
For sure. This was a touchdowns galore to start the game, and really the whole game, 31-28. All scores were touchdowns except one. And, yeah, the Broncos, they did end up squeaking out the win, but they gave up 700 yards to the Dolphins, and I figured, okay, well, the Bears, yeah, they'll get 400, but they actually got 500 yards. Fields completed nearly every pass, so their defense had been scary bad. When you see a team give up 70 points, that's actually scary. Like, not just figuratively, it's actually scary. So they've given up 350 passing yards just in Fields. I don't want to know what else is going to happen to that team, but I'm going to bet the over every week on them until further notice.
Yeah, sounds like a good strategy. Final win for the week was Bengals versus Tennessee, and we had the under there. So talk me through what happened with that game. I know that you have Joe Burrow pretty high on your quarterback rankings. So tell us about your prediction for that game.
Both of these teams are really struggling to move the ball right now. I know Burrow is a better quarterback than the results have displayed, but at the end of the day, these teams didn't have much offense going into this game. I figured one way or the other, it's going to be under 41 because there's going to be punts and a lot of field goals and not a lot of touchdowns. So that was kind of what happened.
Strange outcome. And another one of your picks was Bengals -2.5. Titans always surprising. Hard to tell. Are they pretty good, or are they actually a pretty trash team? They can look like two different teams week to week.
Yeah, there's certain teams in the league where it's really scary betting on or against them because their results are just really volatile. And it's a weird thing that these teams pretty much carry over year to year a lot of the same tendencies. And one example of one of those is teams like the Patriots or Steelers, because of how they're coached and their organization and all that. When they have like really bad games, it's actually good to bet on them the next game because they want to clean it up. The Titans are one of them.
Yeah, and another team that looked pretty good this week was Dallas. We had New England +7. Thought that the Patriots defense would be able to keep it close, but the Dallas defense really showed up and it kind of ran away quick.
The Cowboys basically just marched down the field every time they wanted to. And then, they add the defensive touchdowns, so the final score is 38-3, right? But I don't think it was realistic for me to sit here and say, oh, yeah, the Cowboys are going to get anything they want on the Patriots. I mean, maybe +7 was a bad bet just because of the nature of the Patriots and their inability to score too much, but the Patriots should have given a better effort against the Cowboys offense. The Patriots season is looking pretty bleak at 1-3.
So we got the last of the 7, the Chiefs -10 at Jets. Zach Wilson was looking great in prime time. I think everyone in the sports world was a little surprised by that. And ultimately, Chiefs couldn't cover, even though they did come away with the win.
Yeah, this was an interesting pivot game where now Zach Wilson has shown us a pattern where he's actually played well in multiple games in a row. The presence of Aaron Rodgers as a mentor is probably paying dividends, and it's starting to pay out now. And Mahomes, it was one of his worst ever career games, and Chiefs still almost covered, so I don't think it was a horrible bet. There also might be something to be said about Nick Bolton being out. I know one player, and especially a linebacker, isn't something to blame, but the Jets' offensive line really handled the Chiefs' defensive front, and Nick Bolton is the leader of the defense, so I think maybe they were less organized than they thought they might be.
Well, if you tailed those 7 picks this week, you made money. 4-3. I'm sure we're going to be improving week on over week. The other select that we had was a Rebral stay away, and that was for the Eagles Commanders game. You knew it was going to be close. You called it. Went into overtime. So talk us through how that played out.
Yeah, I thought the Eagles might win by 7-10, somewhere really close to the spread. The Commanders really showed us. Yeah, last week that was just an aberration against Buffalo. They really have a good offense. So we have so much evidence now that Washington is actually a pretty good team. I'm glad I stayed away instead of maybe taking the Eagles.
All right, so as we always do, let's talk about what we learned. So, what are you taking away from this week going forward, Joey?
Yeah, I guess this week what we learned is the Patriots, yeah, their defense has been good and they are good, but overall as a team, they're just really bad. And we also learned that the Bengals are kind of the classic broken team every year in the league. Someone good just breaks, and there's no real way to figure out that it's going to happen ahead of time. So the Bengals are broken. Who knows if they'll get it together anytime soon? I lean towards they will, but I got to see it before I can start betting on them again, because if I keep betting on them in the state that they're in, it's just like it's just not smart. Not smart. And we also learned this week that Eric Bieniemy and the Commanders' offense are pretty good. Sam Howell, pretty good. So they lit up the Eagles. They drove down the field most of the game with success. So they're going to be scoring points on a lot of teams this year, and it's actually a fun thing to watch.
And this week we got something a little bit different for you since we won't be back until after Thursday Night Football. And one of the Cerebral selects this week is on Thursday Night Football. The Commanders hosting the Bears. So what do we have looking forward to that game?
Yeah, so last year they played, and everything was entirely different with these teams. That game ended in 12-7. Commanders won that one. Right now, the Commanders are way on the up and up. They're scoring like machines, and they're back at home against a Bears defense that doesn't really stop people. So I think the Commanders are going to score 30 on them, and at a 5.5-point spread, I feel pretty comfortable with the Commanders.
All right, there you have it. Take the Commanders to cover. We'll be back after Thursday Night Football with the rest of the Week 5 picks. Thanks so much for having me on, Joey.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, and I'm looking forward to this being our first 7-0 week. So let's get started with a big win tomorrow night.